Hello everyone, thanks for joining me again today for another session of Me Programming Daily. I hope you had a lovely weekend. Happy Monday. I hope you have your coffee or drink of choice ready, because today I plan to continue what seems like a never-ending refactoring of the drakon diagrams renderer. Maybe you remember from previous sessions, I implemented a number of functions that will help us render the artificially /user created connections, not those natural connections that Drakon defines. And the plan for today is either to create a map out of this list of skewer blocks, or, and this is something that I came up during the weekend. See, this function render, I left a comment here that it will soon have to accept not only a list of position skewer blocks, but also a map of position skewer blocks so that we can link them by their IDs as defined here. But then I thought maybe we can simplify, well, for sure we can simplify this a little bit, and we could, where was it here? We could implement a new render function that are three render functions that will implement three sweeps of the provided skewer blocks, position skewer blocks. The first render will generate or render icons. The second render will generate their natural connections as the parent-child connection. And the third pass will render any artificially generated connections that the user might provide. So I'm not really sure what to start with today. But I'm very tempted to see how this render would look like. Yeah, maybe let's start with that today. I'm very tempted to see how this render would look like without the need to weave this new coordinate through the fold, because I believe it just blurs the picture. We can, I think, we can infer the origin and the position or the entry start point and end point of every connection just from the position skewer block. So we could technically start with making the map, but I think I'm more tempted to just work on the dedicated render that would render only the icons without any connections. And let's see where this takes us. Where I live, it finally feels like spring, so I couldn't be happier with that. This winter has lasted too long. Let's call it new render. Or, even better, let's call it render icons. So I believe we can drop this because we have the origin available in each skewer block. So this will definitely break. Oh, but it only breaks in 2 places. All right. So I'll try to experiment with embedding this function in place of the render prime today, if time allows. So at the end of this session, what I'm hoping to achieve is just laid out image of only icons, no connections, no extra connections, bounding boxes. Yes, I am expecting to see bounding boxes. Oh no, let's slow down a second. So this render prime is responsible for the main collection of skewer blocks. It is not responsible directly for the children skewer blocks. So I'm hoping to only see icons on the main, the icons that reside in this collection directly, not as children. So this will only be an icon. This will only be an icon without these connections, and hopefully, yeah, and that's it. In this diagram, we only have the fork in the action. Is that right? Action, fork, yeah. So since this is a skewer block, yeah, and this is a good indicator that we should probably change this type, because I'm finding myself getting individual properties that can't just be obtained by applying a constructor. That's what I'm thinking. Here we want to get the origin. Oops. Okay. So for now, let's just try to build this. Okay. Uncomment this thing. Now, Before changing the type signature, let's make sure I can use the origin from this block. So pre-y1 should come not from the second accumulator, but from get origin single block, and this needs to be further deconstructed. That was pre y1. This I don't want to touch, but the second accumulator was pre-y1. So let's treat it as -0, as something obviously not correct. And if this builds, we should be able to remove the second part of the type, which is the double. So this only renders our diagram. So now we don't have to deal with an alias for the accumulator, because it's pretty obvious what the accumulator is. And we should also be able to reduce it, which is simplifying the code pretty nicely. Maybe it was too fast. Jumping to reduction. Oh no, I think I was correct. I just made one mistake. We no longer need the return type to be a tuple. And now, this is also a good advice. Let's try to format it and see what the formatting does. So we have the old render versus rendered icons. And we're still rendering a connection. So now the render icons, see, we haven't changed how it works. We have just said that we don't need the new y coordinate to be weaved into the fold. We can just leverage the origins of the position skewer blocks. So the functionality of this versus this is the same. Signature is easier, and now it's just more obvious what it does. So technically, if I replaced render prime with render icons, the diagram should be unchanged. And I think we use render prime here. Render prime. We just need to import it. Oh, we don't need this. And this makes the code much easier to work with, I think. So we also need to establish this. So we need to get the y from somewhere. So first of all, wherever we have first rendered skewer blocks, we can just say rendered skewer blocks. Okay, and for the second render skewer blocks, we can just say the total height of these skewer blocks. I think we already have this, yes. Beautiful. And we import it from here. Line 34. That's position skewer blocks. But height is one thing, but height needs to be in relation to y. So I think it should be y minus skewer y minus these. Let's see what we get. If we're lucky, and if I got everything right, the diagram should look exactly the same. And it does look the same. Okay. That is very encouraging. So let's proceed to implementing what I promised at the beginning of this session. Let's try to only render icons. So here I'm going to create a backup copy saying new render prototype. Comment it out. And here we only render a single block. So we can remove many things here. Post 2, post 1, pre 1, connection, all of this we don't need. We can just say let's see what we get now. This is worrying. I think I've done something silly. Render new diagram. Oh no, it is good. This one does not have any connections. This one does not have any connections. Okay. Interesting. No, that is incorrect. So I don't think it's a good idea to have 3 renders, because while rendering icons only is a good idea, Rendering connections is not really rendering connections, it's just rendering lines that connect the icon to its bounding box to be further connected by another bounding box with another connections like that. So it's not really rendering connections. However, we could use another render to only deal with those additional connections, those defined in this list. Okay, so the prototype is coming back. I did still learn something. And it is to keep these connections intact, which is fine. Let's format. Run, and now we should see those connections added again. Yes. Okay, perfect. I'm getting suspicious. Everything is going a little bit too easy today. Let's remove this. And after a short break, I'll try to, because we still have a bit of time today, I'll try to extract all those skewer blocks from a tree data structure into a map. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. Turns out it took me a little bit longer than a minute, but I am back. Let's see if I can still get back to implementing toMap. So it feels like nearly I should implement insert on every type of skewer block. For this to work. Yeah, that would make sense. So for now, let's just re-implement this in such a way that I don't have to get the ID of a single block, meaning something like this, skewer block, and then let's see if Copilot is right. So now we can probably even reduce this. Can we do this? No. Oh. Oh, and this is not correct. We have a block. Oh. Oh, so we can. Oh, so Copilot was right. We can reduce it. It looks kind of funky, but we can reduce it. Well, Copilot is right, and Copilot is efficient, but this is not exactly what I wanted. See, I wanted an implementation like get origin or get ID. And here I can say something like this. And then the recursive application should be a bit easier. So avoid lambda 67. Okay. This is not called yet, but I believe we can print the map from main. Thank you. And now the pairs. Looks better now. So now let's see what this prints. It should print the ID of this action and of this fork, and nothing else. Action and action as well. Okay. Oh, but look at this. The content is wrong. This is what happens when you name your fork action. But it does work. I can see the IDs are different. Yes, we have 200, which is action, and 210, which is fork. Okay. So now we need to apply this recursively, but I'll do that after a short break. All right, I'm back. Okay, so now let's go back to our function toMap, and let's see if we can apply this recursively. So this is fine, this is fine. Left, right, toMap L. And here we will need to provide a map. We can no longer reduce it. Current map. Or starting map. And the map can be even simpler. It doesn't have to be ID skewer block, it can be ID origin. Different number of arguments, yeah. You can't have everything. Oh, and here, right map. toMap. Oh yeah. Can we do this? we combine these two maps together. This is looking promising. All right, what do we have here? We have 210, custom content fork here. Then we have action, which is ID 220, just this, and 221. So we have this, but we lost this guy somewhere. No, of course, we need to add it to a starting map. Yes, of course. So we have 200, 210, 200, perfect. That's a good start. 210, then it should be 220, 221, 220, 221. We're not adding these guys yet, but that looks promising. But I think this is a good enough place to stop for this session. And during the next session, I'll try to replace this map ID skewer block with map ID origin or a point. And then we can include also start terminator and end terminator in the map. Let's not forget that toMap right now only works on a list of skewer blocks as opposed to the diagram itself. Okay, but I'm pretty happy with this. Let's put a pin in it for today. Next session, I'll be implementing toMap for the entire diagram, and I'll try to hopefully get closer to this type signature or implementing this type signature. So it should be a pretty interesting session. Thanks very much for your attention today. I wish you a fantastic Monday and a great week ahead. And I hope to see you during the next one. Take care. Bye.